Over a campfire. Chapter 10. Shadows. The school's front courtyard was overwhelmed by a swelling crowd of anxious parents. Their faces were drawn tight with worry and frustration, voices overlapping in a growing cacophony of concern. The news of the bus mix-up and the mysterious tragedy at the camp had spread like wildfire overnight, and now they demanded answers. Mrs. Hernandez, the school principal, stood near the entrance, her hands raised in a gesture of calm, but her composed expression betrayed her inner tension. "Please, everyone," she said firmly. "We understand your fears, and we are doing everything possible to clarify the situation." But the crowd was restless, their voices rising in a chaotic chorus. "How could the school lose track of our children?" shouted one father, his face flushed with anger. "This is unacceptable negligence." A mother near the front wept quietly, clutching her phone as she muttered, "My daughter's not answering. I don't know if she's safe." Her despair rippled through the crowd, making some parents even more agitated. Voices split sharply. Some blamed the school administration for poor oversight. Others pointed fingers at the bus company for the disastrous mismanagement of the trip. The bus company admitted fault, but where was the school's supervision? A man bellowed, shaking his fist. Teachers and staff hovered nearby, visibly strained. Miss Collins stepped forward, trying to soothe the growing unrest. "We are cooperating fully with the authorities," she said, her voice calm, but with a hint of defensiveness. "Safety is our highest priority, and we will learn from this to prevent any future incidents." Her words did little to ease the crowd. Demands for immediate answers grew louder. "We want guarantees. How can you assure us this won't happen again?" a woman shouted. Amid the noise, rumors circulated quickly. Some parents claimed the school had tried to hide details. Others speculated about deeper failures behind the scenes. The atmosphere was thick with distrust. Suddenly, the sleek black car pulled into the lot, drawing a hush over part of the crowd. Gregory and Vanessa Carlisle stepped out, their presence commanding attention. Gregory's expression was cold and controlled, his gaze sweeping the gathering with steely calculation. Vanessa's lips pressed into a thin, firm line as she scanned the anxious faces. "Our daughter was on that bus," Gregory announced sharply. "We expect a full explanation and immediate steps to guarantee her safety." Vanessa's tone was equally unyielding. "We will not tolerate any lapses. This kind of mistake is unforgivable." The crowd's energy surged, some nodding in agreement, others watching the Carlyles warily. Their insistence on control only amplified the tension. As soon as the bus pulled up to the school grounds, a tense silence fell over the students. They were quickly and quietly escorted through the double doors into the principal's meeting room, a small, sterile space where the air felt thick with unease. Rows of chairs lined the walls, but few had the heart to sit. Instead, the students clustered together, some staring blankly ahead, others whispering softly to their closest friends. Mrs. Hernandez entered the room briskly, her face taut but composed. Her eyes swept over the group, lingering briefly on Hannah, whose pale face looked far too young to bear such trauma. "Ms. Blakely," she said, turning toward the lead teacher. "Explain to me, how did the students get on the wrong bus?" Ms. Blakely stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly as she clasped them in front of her. Her voice was low but steady, weighed down by exhaustion and sorrow. "It wasn't intentional," she began. "After what happened with Mike, the whole group was in shock. Everyone was overwhelmed, traumatized. There was confusion. In the chaos, the students didn't double-check the bus number. No one really did. We trusted the supervisors to keep track." She paused, swallowing hard. "The whole atmosphere was heavy. I think we all just wanted to get them back safely. But that urgency and the trauma made it hard to follow proper procedures. The usual checks were skipped." Mrs. Hernandez nodded slowly, absorbing the explanation but her face remaining grim. "This is a serious breach of protocol," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "It could have led to even worse consequences." A long silence followed. The students exchanged glances, the weight of the moment settling over them like a thick fog. Ms. Blakely's eyes filled with tears as she added, "We did the best we could under impossible circumstances. But I know that's not enough." The principal straightened her posture, wiping away a shadow of exhaustion from her eyes. She took a deep breath and addressed the room with firm authority. Students, please remain here for the time being, Mrs. Hernandez said. The teachers will go to the auditorium to meet with your parents and address their concerns. A few students shifted nervously, but no one moved toward the doors. The weight of the situation kept them rooted in place. Mrs. Hernandez glanced toward the teachers standing nearby. Mr. Hahn, Ms. Jordan, you will stay here with the students. Make sure they are safe and supported until called. Mr. Hahn nodded solemnly, adjusting his glasses as he stepped closer to the group. Ms. Jordan gave a small, reassuring smile, though her eyes were filled with worry. All right, the principal said firmly. Everyone else, please follow me. The teachers filed out silently, their footsteps echoing down the hallway as the students remained behind, the air heavy with shock and uncertainty. As soon as the teachers stepped into the packed auditorium, a wave of voices rose like a storm. Parents' questions, accusations, and fears crashed over them all at once. How could this happen? One father demanded, his voice trembling with anger. Who was responsible for the bus mix-up? Another mother shouted, clutching a trembling child. We want answers. We want guarantees that our children will be safe from now on. Several parents called out, their faces tight with worry. The teachers tried to respond, but the rapid-fire barrage left them struggling to find a calm, steady voice. Suddenly, the doors at the back of the room swung open. Mike's parents appeared, their faces pale and eyes red from crying. Without a word, they pushed past the crowd and rushed to the front. They sank to their knees, overwhelmed by grief. Mrs. Liu's sobs echoed through the auditorium as Mr. Liu held her tightly, tears streaming down his own face. Please, Mrs. Liu whispered brokenly, tell us what happened to our son. Please. The room fell silent for a moment, the rawness of their pain cutting through the tension. Mrs. Hernandez stepped forward cautiously, her voice gentle but firm. We are doing everything we can to understand what happened, and we will support all of you through this. The moment Mike's parents knelt in grief, the floodgates burst open. Parents from every corner of the auditorium demanded answers about Mike. Why weren't we told earlier? A mother shouted, voice shaking. Our kids were on that trip too. How could the school keep such a secret? Is it true Mike died on the camp? Another parent asked, eyes wide with disbelief. Ms. Bakley exchanged uneasy glances with Ms. Collins and Ms. Rayner. The truth hit them hard. The school administration had informed only Mike's parents about his death, intentionally keeping the news from the rest of the families. We thought it best to inform Mike's parents first before spreading the news to everyone, Ms. Collins stammered, her face pale. We wanted to avoid panic and chaos among the students and parents. But you should have told us, an angry father interrupted. This is about our children's safety and well-being. We deserve to know everything now. Ms. Rayner stepped forward, trying to calm the crowd. We understand your anger and concern. Our priority has been to care for the students and support Mike's family. We are now working on communicating full details as soon as possible. The room erupted again, parents shouting over one another, demanding transparency, accountability, and safety guarantees. Amidst the turmoil, the weight of the secret and the school's attempt to control the narrative only fueled the rising tension. Ms. Bakley took a deep breath, stepping forward with a firm but gentle tone. We understand how heartbreaking and shocking this is. Mike was a bright, kind student, and his loss has affected us all deeply. She paused, scanning the sea of angry, tearful faces. But we must remember, our children are still young, and they're struggling to process what happened. They aren't ready to face such a loss. Right now, what they need most is our support, our calm, and our strength. Ms. Collins nodded in agreement. This tragedy has left every one of us traumatized, students, teachers, and parents alike. We ask you, please, to be emotionally intelligent and patient, not just for yourselves, but for the well-being of your children. We know questions remain, and we are committed to answering them honestly, Ms. Rayner added. But right now, our priority is to care for the students, to help them feel safe, to listen to their fears, and to guide them through this painful time. A hush fell over the room. Some parents wiped away tears, others looked down, struggling to absorb the weight of the teacher's words. Ms. Bakley continued quietly, we all must come together as a community to help our children heal. They need us to be their anchors. Though tension lingered, a few nods of reluctant agreement rippled through the crowd. Ms. Rayner stepped gently away from the tense crowd and made her way back to the principal's meeting room where the students waited quietly, still shaken but beginning to find some calm. Her voice was soft but clear. Everyone, it's time to see your parents now. They're here to be with you. One by one, students rose, their faces a mixture of relief and lingering sadness. Parents stood anxiously just beyond the doors, eyes searching for their children. Ms. Rayner guided the students out, and as they stepped into the auditorium foyer, the anxious parents rushed forward to embrace them. Tears flowed freely, hugs tightened, and whispered reassurances filled the air. Hannah spotted her parents instantly, Gregory and Vanessa, who quickly enveloped her in a protective embrace. Their overprotectiveness was palpable, their whispered commands and urgent questions adding to the charged atmosphere. Though the reunion was heartfelt, the lingering tension and grief remained thick, as every parent and child grappled with the shock of what had happened. The teachers watched silently, hoping this reunion would begin the healing process, even as the undercurrent of worry and anger still simmered just beneath the surface. It was 5 o'clock and all of the students, their parents, teachers, and staff started leaving for home. At the Carlisle mansion, Hannah hugged her knees close to her chest, staring out the window at the darkening sky. The silence between them felt heavy. "Hannah, sweetheart," Vanessa began softly, brushing a strand of hair behind Hannah's ear. "I know this is so hard to understand. The camp was supposed to be safe. The school, the bus, everything just went wrong." Vanessa's voice was soft but steady. "Hannah, I know you're scared. I am too." Hannah finally met her mother's eyes, searching for answers. "Mom, why did Mike have to die? Why did this happen to us?" Vanessa swallowed hard, her throat tightening. "Sometimes, in life, terrible things happen that we can't explain. It's not fair, and it's not because anyone did something wrong. It just does." From the next room, the low murmur of Gregory's voice on the phone drifted through the wall. His tone was tense, urgent. "Yes, I want the best school. Somewhere safer, quieter. We can't stay here, not after this. I want the move arranged within the month. No compromises." Tears welled up in Hannah's eyes again. "But I feel so helpless. I don't want to lose anyone else. And now Dad's talking about moving. Leaving my friends, my school, everything." Vanessa reached out, pulling Hannah into a gentle hug. "I know, baby. Change is scary. But your dad and we're just trying to protect you. After everything that happened, we want to keep you safe." Vanessa took a deep breath and smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair behind Hannah's ear. "Tell me, sweetheart, despite everything, was there anything fun at camp? Something that made you laugh or smile?" Hannah's eyes flickered, the weight momentarily lifting. "Well, there were a lot of activities. We enjoyed the games, the campfire, the small skits everyone prepared. I also had a lot of time with Gina and we explored a..." She stopped mid-sentence. Her voice trailed off like a leaf caught in a breeze, landing softly in silence. Vanessa noticed the sudden pause, the way Hannah's fingers fidgeted slightly in her lap, her gaze dropping to the floor. Something unspoken hovered in the space between them. "You explored a..." Vanessa gently prompted, tilting her head. Hannah's lips parted as if she were about to speak again, but then she shook her head slowly. "We explored a song together and many people were dancing." It wasn't a lie but hard to make Vanessa believe. She watched her daughter closely. She had a way of reading Hannah that even Gregory often overlooked, like how her voice got softer when she was being careful with the truth. But instead of pressing, she nodded with a smile that carried warmth and restraint. Vanessa continued, her voice lighter now. "What kind of skits did your group do? Was there any drama? Did anyone forget their lines?" Hannah started to revisit the beautiful memory at the campfire. She took a breath, slow and quiet. "There was something about that last night," she whispered. Vanessa turned to her, eyebrows raised slightly. "What do you mean?" Hannah didn't speak immediately. She was chasing a feeling, not a fact. A fragment of something half-remembered. A smell, a sound, an expression on Mike's face. She leaned back. "I was just remembering the way Mike laughed at the campfire, so full of life." She stood up slowly, her mind racing. "I know how Mike died," Hannah blurted out all of a sudden. "Mom, we need to inform the police." Vanessa looked up sharply, her face going pale. "Hannah," she said, standing as well. "What did you just say?" "I think I know how Mike died," Hannah repeated, her voice firmer now, even as her hands trembled slightly. "It wasn't just a random tragedy, Mom. There were things we saw, things that didn't make sense." Vanessa stepped forward quickly, reaching out and gripping her daughter's arms. "It's okay, sweetie. You don't have to think about that now. I know it's hard," she said, her voice tight with panic. "You've been through a trauma. All of you. You don't need to go stirring this up again." But Vanessa exhaled, rubbing her temples as if trying to control a growing headache. He was my friend. No, Hannah, Vanessa said, firmer now. He's gone now, and you are going to stop speaking or even thinking about all of this right here. I don't want you to create more trouble. Is that clear? Hannah sat there in silence but feeling helpless. She thought of calling Gina the next day to discuss about this. Next morning, Hannah woke up to noises of furniture dragging. At first, she thought she might be dreaming until a loud scrape echoed from downstairs, followed by the distinct sound of a heavy object being dragged across the floor. She blinked, sitting up quickly. More sounds followed, boxes thudding shut, the low murmur of unfamiliar voices, wheels creaking, doors opening and closing. Hannah threw the blankets off and rushed to the window. Below, two men in uniformed overalls were hoisting what looked like a dining room chair into a moving truck. Another man wrapped framed art in thick plastic sheets. Her chest tightened. The hallway outside her room was already echoing strangely emptier than usual. She jumped to her feet and flung her door open. "Mom," she called out, panic creeping into her voice. "Mom." No response. She padded quickly down the sweeping staircase, her bare feet cold against the marble. Familiar paintings were missing from the walls. The large antique mirror by the entrance had been taken down. The house, once pristine and staged like a luxury magazine spread, looked disjointed, half-decorated, half-packed, like a museum being dismantled. "Where is she?" she muttered under her breath, heart racing. Just then, her father's deep voice floated from the study. "Yes, we'll have everything finalized by Friday. The school transfer documents are already in. Yes, both academic and medical files." She turned sharply and found him standing near the tall French doors, phone to ear, overseeing the moving process like a general commanding troops. "Dad," Gregory Carlyle glanced up, surprised. "You're awake." Hannah narrowed her eyes. "Where's Mom? What's going on?" He hesitated, covering the phone's receiver. She went ahead to the new house this morning. There were things she needed to prepare. The new house. Gregory sighed, setting the phone on the desk. "We told you, Hannah. We're moving." "Wait, that was so fast," Hannah said. "Can I please meet my friends once before leaving?" "No, it's already too late. Go get ready." "We will leave in 30 minutes," said Gregory.